Let's head into the stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers this morning. With me in the studio is lawyer and social development advocate Jide Ologun, as well as another lawyer and public affairs analyst, Tunji Abdulhamid. Gentlemen, nice to see you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Nice
morning.
to see you. Great. Let's begin with the Blueprint newspaper this morning. The Blueprint said the federal government to critics, water bill won't cause water wars. Water bill won't cause water wars. That's federal government telling critics, and that's on the Blueprint newspaper. Says commercialization of resources, not our agenda. Insists it will save nation from ecological disaster. A provision of potable water still resides with states as far as the laws are concerned. So those are all opinions in there. All right, from there, let's go to Daily Times. Daily Times says Labour set to compound Nigeria's woes with strike. Labour set to compound Nigeria's woes with strike. I guess this will concern Nigerians and my guests in the studio when we open up discussion. Recall that the Labour has issued an ultimatum to commence a strike by the 28th of the month. Okay, that's Daily Times. News Direct is next now. Rising inflation. CBN reduces interest rates to sustain economic recovery. Retains CRR at 27.5%. Orders banks to cut interest on loans and fixed income markets to see a downward adjustment in yields. Analysts are saying that. Okay, that's News Direct. Daily Trust is next now and is focusing on leakages. Daily Trust says the federal government takes over revenue custody in NNPC, Customs, FIRS, as the Federal Inland Revenue Service, NIMASA, others. The government getting less from agencies. The SGF and Finance Minister are saying this. And revenue directors set for deployment to agencies, right? Temporary measures won't work. Experts are saying that. And stop borrowing. Ex-Emir Sanusi tells government. Okay. All right, those are stories on the Daily Trust. Leadership newspaper is next, and it says bulk purchase behind rising food prices. As the federal government is issuing this as a reason. Bulk purchase behind rising food prices. It spends 31 billion naira to support farmers in 14 states to stop importation of fertilizer by 2022 as PMB okays reduction in price. Labour to protest against petrol, electricity price hike by September 28. UN commends federal government on humanitarian efforts in the northeast. That's a leadership newspaper. All right, the last one now is national economy. Federal government moves to monitor revenue management in NNPC, FIRS, and 8 others. Okay, that's national economy. All right, gentlemen, let's move to our topic of discussion for the day. Let's pick the story on the front page of the Daily Times that focuses on Labour. Labour set to compound Nigeria's woes with the strike. Okay, recall that Labour has issued an ultimatum to federal government to reverse or review or reverse the hike in electricity tariff as well as the fuel price. And they've issued an ultimatum 28th of October. Tunji, let me start with you here. I wonder if this is for good or this is going to compound the issue, because Labour, from their own argument, they are doing this for Nigerians.
You know, very difficult situation. Ordinarily, it should be a step to reduce or even soften the hardship in the country. Why I am skeptical as to whether to say yes or no is because of my experience in the past. We will go on this strike, we will come back, we will remain where we are. That is why I'm not able to say whether. So
are you saying strikes don't deliver?
No, we don't. It doesn't deliver, but we don't have any choice, as far as I'm concerned, because negotiation, deliberation, discussions, amicable resolutions does not give any result in this country. The government seems not to understand the language of talking about coming together and make sure things are
and negotiating.
Done. Yeah, because it appears whenever government has a particular policy in mind, their minds are made up. It's cast in stone. and they will tell you there is no going back. When the government give a policy and say there is no going back, that is not the way to go. As a government, you don't give policy and say there is no going back. You look at the concern of other people. When people complain about it, you look at it and review it. But if you strongly believe in that policy, and you believe that if you do not go with this policy, it will not help your government, you either educate people more to know about it, and if the people say, no, we are not going for it, you can either resign or go by what people are looking for. The initiation whereby the government will say there is no going back, it means they have made up their mind. So I am skeptical in the sense that Labour will not follow through their strike after a week or 2 days, not even a week, after 2 or 3 days, or even in the course of preparation. In the middle of the night, they will tell you, we are suspending our strike, when they've not achieved the purpose of the strike. So I am skeptical.
So you're skeptical
as to whether or not it will be a kind of way to give us a solution to our problem.
All right, Jide, the strike at this time, the hike in price and electricity tariff, beyond the issues of labor or Nigerians' inability to, cope with all of that, some analysts have said that it is actually the right way to go. It's just that Nigerians have to pay for it for a while, but it is supposed to make things better off. What do you say to this?
Perhaps the right way to go, having gone the wrong ways in the past.
Okay.
I do not see why the electricity tariff and the fuel tariff should become a source of hardship to the people if we have managed the resources of this country brilliantly. It's in the report now that the government is stepping into revenue collecting agencies. We have had several leakages. What have we done with the revenues we have mobilized? And that's the position of the labor. The labor union is saying, you are telling us to tighten our belt. You are loosening your own belt to feed more and more. You are talking about pushing hardship to the people. And again, one of the complaints, because we need to address these complaints, is the fact that, take electricity tariff for example, these services are hardly available. People are forced to pay estimated bills, otherwise known as crazy bills. And you are increasing it.
Which has been abolished.
Exactly. You are lifting it from about 30.2 naira per kilowatts to about 62 point something. That is like ×2. Look at the fuel, the pump price of PMS also. And if there is no electricity to drive your operations, you need the PMS. So on both sides, you are in hardship, and several hardship on the people. And strike is like the end result. There has been engagement between the government and the labor union. But like Barrister Abdulhamid brilliantly mentioned, the government is like a giant at the table. So you find yourself dealing with an iron fist until you go on strike. But let me say it. It's a good thing that we are even discussing compounding the woes of the people. So the people have enough woes right now. So going on strike may not compound the woes of the people, but may probably compel the government to be sensitive to the plight of the people. They should sit back and imagine that they are on the other side. Things are tough, and there are other alternatives. Why should it be that our refineries, 4, are not functioning, and we are pumping billions of naira into turnaround maintenance? Does that make economic sense? Will you do that in your private business? And now the government is telling us the government has no business in refineries. But somebody mentioned it some years back as an electioneering campaign, and they said it should keep quiet. So if government doesn't have business in that business, let those who can manage it come in and manage it. And we keep losing resources, and we keep borrowing, and the people are not feeling the positive impact of the engagement of these resources. So if labor goes on strike, I think the people, I don't know what can be worse than the situation people have found themselves now.
All right. Let's wait to see how these things play out. And then, well, the average Nigerian is the ultimate here everyone is thinking about, because from the arguments, government is thinking about the average Nigerian, the labor also thinking about the average Nigerian. So I wonder how. But let's leave it here now. Thank you.
Let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. Federal government to critics. Water bill won't cause water wars, says commercialization of resources not our agenda. insists it will save nation from ecological disaster. Provision of potable water still resides with states. All right, let's move to the front page of the Daily Times now. Labour set to compound Nigerians' woes with strike. Labour set to compound Nigeria's woes with strike. All right, now to the front page of the News Direct. Rising inflation, CBN reduces interest rate to sustain economic recovery. Retains CRR at 27.5%, orders banks to cut interest on loans, fixed income market to see a downward adjustment in yields, analysts. And on the front page of the Daily Trust, leakages, federal government takes over revenue custody in NNPC, Customs, FIRS, NIMASA, others. Government getting less from agencies, SGF, Finance Minister, Revenue Director set for deployment to agencies. Temporary measures won't work. Experts stop borrowing. Ex-Emir Sanusi tells government. I'm certain my guests will be interested in looking at this topic as we get along. All right, let's quickly move forward to the Leadership newspaper. Bulk purchase behind rising food prices. Federal government spends 31 billion naira to support farmers in 19 states to stop importation of fertilizer by 2022 as President Muhammadu Buhari okays reduction in price. Labour to protest against petrol, electricity price hike September the 28th. UN commends federal government on humanitarian efforts in the northeast. To the front page of the national economy now, federal government moves to monitor revenue management in NNPC, FIRS, 8 others. All right, and finally, on the front page of the Business Day, Financial Repression Series. Have stocks gained from Nigeria's financial repression? A huge question there. But now let's get to the business of the day, the story on the front page of the Daily Trust, talking about the federal government looking to take over revenue custody in NNPC, Customs, the FIRS. It says this is a reform initiative aimed at generating more revenue for the government. And some are concerned that this may not work. Others are saying that could this also, be a breach of the functioning of this, perhaps this custody of this corporations, if I may use the word. I'll start with you, Jide Ologun. What do you make of this move by the government to generate more revenue?
Firstly, it's a wake-up action because revenue is dwindling, and
a
now
step in the right direction
has identified that there are leakages, and that is one of the ways of preserving wealth. When you are expected to bring in revenue and they slip away, it's not a wise approach to resources management. But having said that, what difference will the directors who will be sent there, difference will they make? And let's go back to history. I'm particularly interested in NNPC.
All right.
You recall that in 2018, the former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, queried NNPC on under remittance, and soon thereafter, her issue of NY certificate sprang up, and she was eventually eased out of office. So I believe there is a cartel, a mafia setting upon the resources of this country. And talking about NNPC, for instance, in isolation, as far back as 1977, $2.8 billion disappeared from the NNPC account, and it was traced to Midland Bank in London. And that matter became, thrown under the carpet and everything. So we've had this corruption in the principal sector of the economy that should be the driving force of prosperity. So if we are sending direct, apart from the argument of the extant laws setting up the agencies, we have been careless about revenue drive in this country, and that's why we are bringing in hardship. And experts are advising, if you are even failing in blocking these loopholes, stop borrowing today. And I don't know how we can explain it. Our indebtedness is in a threshold of about 30 trillion naira. What can we show for it? And I'm not here to say there is nothing to show. No. But can you benchmark it? If that amount of money is borrowed by the Canadian government, will you say that the resource we have in Nigeria will be the same with what they have there? So, and you talk about the customs, you talk about the FIRS, and sincerely speaking, we need to do a lot, but then I think there is a need for reorientation. Right. Why do we continue with people just cornering? We are talking about revenue. What about oil theft? What about different kinds of,
Let's get your perspective, Tunji, to this matters now. He is saying that having revenue directors may not make a change. I wonder if you are on the same side of the fence with him.
Yeah, on that position, I agree with him. It won't make much difference. In fact, it will be same of the same. But I want to say that the new policy now, or the new proposed step, is a step in the right direction. And it's also a confirmation of the criticism of what people have been saying before now, that no government agency should be exempted from TSA, that no government agency should be allowed to, on its own, decide how to spend its money. You know, the people have been saying this all before now. And that's why the government should be listening to people when they make criticism. They should not look at it from the point of view of politics. When you bring out a policy and people raise concern about it, what government should do is to look at it. I want to say that, look, we always run away from doing the right thing. What we are saying now, as far as I'm concerned, is a confirmation of failure of people not doing their job the way it should be done. In other words, those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring accountability, those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring proper auditing of their accounts, are not doing their job. If they are doing their job, we wouldn't be talking about this. And if we are talking about this, we should be seeing that, look, so people, persons have been arrested, or they are being queried regarding how these are. Nobody will be questioned. Nobody will be queried. How do we expect anything to change? You just do it, we look for a way out, and that's all. That will not help us. What we need to do is to ensure that, look, we put in place measures that will be able to corner people who are to be able to punish people who are involved in this.
And that is not having revenue directors, right? So if we are to bring up such measures without revenue directors, what should the government be looking at?
The revenue directors will go there and join them in the heart, because he's aware that, look, those who have been doing it, nothing happened to them. If I also join them, if you didn't join them, they'll skim you out. Or it may even be, you may not even know he's about again. Or it may be handicapped. You know, so the issue of what we need to emphasize is ensuring proper accountability, ensuring proper transparency, ensuring proper auditing, ensuring that people who are shadowed responsibility are performing their obligation the way it should be done, and people should be punished for their hearts.
All right, Jide, your final words on this issue.
You know, NNPC was established on April 1, 1977, 43 years ago, and should be adding value to this country. And in conjunction with other agencies, please, let's help reposition this nation from the platform of poverty to prosperity. Let this greed, this sustained corruption, please stop. Nigeria should not be a poor country. And if we care for all, the benefits will go around, and we can deal with insecurity and devices that we have in the nation. So I wish the government the best, but like Barrister mentioned too, accountability. Let's have a fresh mindset that the resources of this country is for all and not for a few.
All right, Jide Oluogun, Tunji Abdulhamid, thank you for your time on the newspaper review this morning.
Thank you.
God bless Nigeria.